For the sake of relevancy, I have already highlighted my face, so now we're just gonna get right into the contour. So I like to use something that's really dark, about, you know, they say to use for highlighting and contour, use something 2 shades lighter, 2 shades darker. This one's probably about what, 3.5 shades darker than me. I feel like it just makes it more prominent, but the thing with using something darker is that you do also have to keep in mind that it will you got to blend it out more, because it can turn harsh really quickly. So I'm just using like some sort of like brush that's kind of flat and thin, but also that's going to help me just draw 2 straight lines on the side of my nose. So I'm just gonna draw the two lines. I kind of meet at my eyebrow, but not really, just because you're gonna more so blend into the eyebrow, so you don't really want to draw nothing on the eyebrow. Now to blend it out, I take this Real Techniques brush. It's fluffy, but it also, like, just the way that it is, it's going to allow me to like press in the product enough and to create the depth that I need. Will give me like that sharpness that I need, because of like the bristles, they're long and straight. I mean, all brushes are long and straight, but it's stiff, so when I start to blend it out, it will keep that contour there. I'm not gonna go back and forth. I'm gonna just tap right on it. Don't move the product, just tap it. So what you do is you're gonna start to create, you'll start to see, like, I'll zoom in a little more. As you're tapping it, you'll start to see that the depth, well, like that sharp line is being created, and it's just going to make the nose contour look more prominent and defined. So I'm still tapping. Just scoot it. As I'm tapping, I'm like scooting it out a little bit, but making sure like to not go past this line. And I feel like this kind of brush that I'm using really helps as well in creating it. And the more you blend it out, the more you'll start to see like the actual shape of the contour. So then to kind of help blend things out, I'll take my beauty blender, beauty sponge, and then tap right on top of it. We'll press right on top of it. This is going to help to just blend it out some more, so it doesn't look so harsh. And then I'll go on the middle, switch sides of the beauty blender. And so now it looks like it's disappeared. Don't worry, it's gonna come back. So I like to take a concealer that's really lighter than me. I'm using Creamy Beige, which is pretty light compared to myself. Again, it's like 3 shades darker. And then I'm going to just draw down a line right on the center of my nose. And also on the sides, and this is going to help just like cinch everything in. So I'm going to let the center dry down a little bit, because the center, like when it dries down, it just creates more, like it does the work for you when you let it dry down. So don't touch it, let it dry. But we will hurry up and blend out the edges, because we don't want this to dry down too much. And this will also give you like a, you know, make the under eye a little brighter, so you can drag it out. Alright, so the center has dried down enough, so now I'm just going to pinch the very tip of it and press on it. And I don't move the product underneath, so I'm not pressing, like, and when I press it, I'm not using too much pressure. Like, I'm just like lightly tapping on it, because it's going to keep everything in place. You'll start to see like the contour like being formed again. Using that same brush that I used to draw the two contour lines, I'm going to take it again. There's no problem. I'm using whatever is remaining on here and then just going back over those two lines to bring the definition back. I'll take the same Real Techniques brush and then press very, very lightly. On the sides. I'll take the beauty sponge again and press right on top of it, because again, the goal of this is to look natural. Like, you don't want it to look like, you want your nose to look snatched, but like naturally snatched. So now it looks like it's gone. Like I said, don't worry, it's just a part of the process, because you want to make sure that it's not too prominent with the cream, because once you set powder on it, like, it's just gonna make it even more, it's gonna give it more definition. So the more natural it looks with the cream product, the better for when you set it, so it'll like look defined but not too like over the top, like it won't look super harsh. So I've been using this Dermablend powder as of late. I really like it. I've been using the original one that's like super white. And now I'm going to take this part, the pointy part of the Beauty Blender, and then set the sides of my nose where you want to bake, essentially. Alright, this isn't going well because I'm trying to look at the camera too straight, so. Okay, so I've let this powder sit on my face, and now I will dust it away. And now we can get to the fun stuff. Honestly, this next part is like my favorite part of the whole process of the nose contour. This part is very important because we're going to be setting it, and it's important not to use anything that's too dark, because if it's too dark, it's kind of hard to revert. So it's best to use something lighter and gradually get darker versus, you know, going straight in for the kill. So this is too dark and this is too light. Normally I have a darker one in here and I just mix the two, but because I can't, I'm just going to be mixing these two now. So all I'm gonna do is, I'm using like this, it's like the Morphe M422 or whatever that one is, like the Sigma E25 is another dupe, the MAC 217. It's all brushes like that, just like a fluffy brush. All I'm going to do is take it, I'm using the tail end of the brush, and tap, tap, tap right along where the nose contour already is. Then I'll start to gradually add more product. And over, like, as I'm doing this, you'll just start to see it slowly build up. And you don't want to manipulate the product underneath, so that's why you just tap, because if you start to just like run it, you can move that and then it can just start to look blotchy, and you don't want to do that, just because product on the nose is easily manipulated for whatever reason, I don't know, and you don't want it to look like that. Like, you still want to have that full coverage look that you have throughout your face. You guys see it's starting to come back, but once we set the highlight is when you'll really start to see the product. Now we're doing the same thing as far as highlighting. We don't want something too light but also not too close to our skin color, so I'm going to be mixing. I'm going to mix these two colors to get like that in-between shade, and I'm using this brush. Like, the way this brush is what really helps me to get that definition down the bridge of my nose. It's like round top, but it's super stiff and flat. And now I'm going to set right the center of it. And now I will do the same thing for the sides of the nose. And again, the way this brush is, how it's like super dense and, well, it's super stiff, I'm going to set the side of it, and this is kind of like baking again because I will dust this away, but it's just like snatching the insides of the nose and, well, the corners, not the insides. And I will go back with the brush that I used to set it, the contour. So then I'm taking the eyeshadow brush that I use for my shadow, and I like just right here blending that in together so it's not harsh. Normally I use like browns in my crease, so this kind of blends in together, but because this is orange, it's not blending as well, but you know, you can still blend it in nicely. So and remember, when you do it, just press on top of it. You don't have to like run back and forth because you already have the product beneath it. So you already, like, all you're trying to do is bring it back. Like, you're not really creating it because you've already created, you've already done what you need to do. But I will just like flick it into the eyebrow so it kind of looks like it's coming straight from my eyebrow naturally. And I use the tip of the brush also. That is what's creating like the sharpness, like right here. That helps that sharpness stay there when I use the top, very top tip of it. And then if I need to go back in with this brush to kind of help shape things up a little more, I can. That's why this brush is so good. So now I'm just going to dust away like the sides. And for like the final step, I just like to brighten my under eye, and I kind of bring it in as well because that's going to further make the nose the nose look snatched, if that's even a thing. So I'll use the same two colors. This is my MAC powder. They're both from MAC, but I just use the both of them. So it's not too bright, but it's bright enough. And I'll press it. Just go back in with the brush that I used to contour the nose to kind of like mesh it all together. Last step is to just highlight the nose if you're into that. If not, you can leave it as is. I'm gonna use my finger just to be for precision, and this highlight gets out of control really quickly. So the tip, and then like the bridge, but I don't do the whole thing, just like those two areas. But